wait, hold up. Somebody explained to me how a man with 3 babies at home, a whole global icon on his arm, just grabbed a microphone and told a whole crowd of strangers what he would have done to them if the ring wasn't imaginary. Nah, y'all, this ain't just a slip of the tongue no more. This looks like a pattern finally cracking open in front of everybody. And ASAP, really thought this was the flex that was gonna age well? Bro, you picked the worst possible mic to say that into. Look, if you rock with real receipts, real timelines, and me not sugarcoating none of this drama, do me a solid, smash that like, hit subscribe, and turn them notifications all the way on. Melanin Scope Media is where we dig, not skim. Let's get into it. So here's what actually happened. Rakim Athalaston Mayers, ASAP Rocky himself, was on stage during his Don't Be Dumb tour stop in Phoenix, Arizona, when he told a section of female fans, and I quote directly, "Thank God y'all didn't know me when I was single, cause I would have fed the S out you if you was pretty." That clip went nuclear online almost the second it dropped, uploaded to Twitter, TikTok, and Instagram by Pop Crave and every hip-hop page you can name. Bro really thought that was a compliment. Now let's look at the receipts, because the reaction wasn't just outrage. It was recognition. And listen, this ain't some random open mic night either. This is the Don't Be Dumb World Tour, Rocky's second ever headlining tour, launched on May 27th, 2026 at Chicago's United Center, per Live Nation's official newsroom. The Phoenix date? June 23rd, 2026 at the Mortgage Matchup Center, according to Ticketmaster's official listing and the Wikipedia tour page. So we're not talking about a leaked freestyle in a hotel room. This is a ticketed, produced, capital P professional event with a whole crew, security team, and, presumably, a manager somewhere in the building. Which means somebody on his team either heard this and said nothing, or wasn't in the room at all. Both options are ugly. Bruh. Let me set the stage even fuller for y'all. The name of the tour is literally Don't Be Dumb. Let that marinate for a second. The album is called Don't Be Dumb. The merch says Don't Be Dumb. And what does the headliner do? He gets on stage of his own Don't Be Dumb tour and does something dumb. You can't script that irony. It writes itself. The internet caught the parallel within hours, and every meme page ran with it. If the branding was supposed to be a cheeky punk rock provocation, allegedly, he just turned it into a self-fulfilling prophecy. The delivery matters too. Peep the video that went up on XXL Mag. Rocky's not whispering. He's not mumbling it under his breath. He's speaking with his chest into a mic, with the audio pointed straight at the crowd. That's not an accidental hot mic moment. That's a man making a public statement to thousands of people in real time. And it wasn't just one line. This was a whole runway of comments building up to it. Bro was warmed up. Now let's zoom into the receipts, because the reaction wasn't just outrage. It was collective recognition. Like the fandom finally connected dots they had been quietly holding for years. Let's stack the quotes. TMZ ran the full transcript of what Rocky said on that Phoenix stage. His exact words? "Thank God y'all didn't know me when I was single, cause I would have fed the S asterisk out you if you was pretty. Asterisk, when I read that the first time, I literally had to sit down." Bro said what? That's the dumbest flex I've ever heard from a grown man with a newborn daughter at home. And it wasn't just one line. Right before that, he was gassing up the whole state, saying, quote, "Heard about how Phoenix got some beautiful ass women out here. Bro, Scottsdale, Phoenix, all this." They was just like, that's where all the pretty ladies in America at. They in Arizona, bro. Look, I ain't even mad at praising the crowd. That's normal artist behavior. But the pivot from y'all beautiful to I would have hit. Nah, that's the part where he lost the plot. And let me pull a magnifying glass over that transition, because this is where the storytelling switches lanes. If Rocky had stopped at Arizona, got beautiful women, we'd be talking about a fun little hometown shout-out moment. Every artist does it. Drake does it. Beyoncé does it. Even Rihanna herself has hyped up city crowds 1,000 times. But allegedly Rocky didn't stop there. He kept going. He crossed the line from "you're beautiful," which is a compliment, into "I would have smashed you," which is a hypothetical sexual proposition delivered on a mic in front of thousands. Those are two different universes, my guy. One is fan service. The other is whatever that was. Then, days later, he did a whole clapback on stage. He knew the internet was cooking him. according to the Shade Room, he addressed the disrespect claims and the whole thong situation in one breath, basically saying, and I'm paraphrasing his energy here, F*** the internet. First they was saying AN***** were thongs. Now they saying I'm disrespectful to my wife. Star. When I heard that, I was like, bruh, you addressing it means you heard us. You not slick. That's the reaction of somebody who got caught, not somebody standing on business. And notice the word choice again. He called Rihanna his wife in that clapback. But as of everybody's public knowledge, they still ain't legally married. Which is another layer. He's using the language of marriage when it's convenient to defuse a controversy. But a few nights earlier, allegedly, he was on stage acting like the single life fantasy was still living rent-free in his head. Pick one, bruh. Either she's your wife or you're role-playing a bachelor's memory. You can't have both mics at the same time. Now rewind to the Met Gala on May 5th, 2026. Cosmopolitan actually hired a professional lip reader, Nicola Hickling, to break down that infamous Sprinter van clip. According to her read, Rihanna allegedly told Rocky, "You're done, I'm tired. Now you're done, you can drop me." And Rocky's alleged retort? "You're crazy." Another lip reader circulating on Instagram claimed Rihanna said, "You don't care for me, do you?" And Rocky shot back, "Are you for real? You're crazy." For the mirrors, right up. When I read that back-to-back with the Phoenix quote, yo, this part is wild. That's the same energy, deflecting instead of listening. And peep the word crazy. That word is doing a lot of heavy lifting in this alleged exchange. In a room full of celebrities and cameras, when a woman voices a concern about how she's being treated, and the response from her partner is allegedly, "You're crazy," that is not a debate move. That is a shutdown move. That's dismissal in a two-syllable package. Cosmopolitan even ran a follow-up piece noting Rihanna herself later downplayed the drama, teasing fans over the argument speculation on her own social feed, per Cosmo's response coverage. Sis handled it with a smirk and a shrug, which is somehow more damning, because that response reads less like there was no issue, and more like, I am too grown to argue about this on Instagram. Very different vibes. And listen, Robin Rihanna Fenny. Yes, that Rihanna, the billionaire, the mother of RZA, born May 2022. Riot Rose, born August 2023. And baby Rocky Irish Mayors, born September 13th, 2025. Per People and confirmed by CBS News, has never publicly said a bad word about this man. In interviews, she calls him the greatest dad, the best man in the world, and says publicly disrespecting her is how he shows his love. Nah, sis. Nah. That line right there? That's where the fandom collectively lost it. Because that is the sound of somebody rationalizing behavior in real time. And when the mother of your 3 kids has to script a defense for you on national television, allegedly your PR isn't broken. You are the PR problem. Now let me add one more receipt that's been quietly haunting this story from the background. The trial. Just a few months before all this concert chaos, in February 2025, Rocky was on the stand in a Los Angeles courthouse for a felony assault case. Rihanna showed up. She sat in that courtroom. She was there per BBC News, described as unwavering in her support. Then when the not guilty verdict came down on February 18th, 2025, Rocky literally jumped over the barrier into her arms in the courtroom. Per USA Today's trial recap. She was pregnant with Rocky at the time. Let that sink in. A pregnant billionaire sat through a criminal trial to hold this man down. And less than a year and a half later, allegedly, he's on a stage joking about the single life. The receipts write themselves at that point. Now that we got the quotes, let's connect the dots. Look at the sequence. The Met Gala Sprinter van clip? That dropped on May 5th, 2026. His clapback clip addressing the disrespect claims went up within days of the Phoenix comment. And the Phoenix moment itself came after Rihanna had been actively supporting his tour. She pulled up to his opening night. Per TMZ, cheering, filming, doing the whole supportive partner move. So the timeline reads, she supports him publicly. He says wild stuff on stage without her there, then addresses the internet before addressing her. That's terrible sequencing, bruh. Let me layer this in tighter, because the timeline is where the whole story lives. February 18th, 2025. Rocky gets his not guilty verdict with Rihanna in the front row, per BBC. September 13th, 2025. Baby Rocky Irish Mayors is born, per Hypebeast. Rihanna is still literally healing from childbirth in the months that follow. May 5th, 2026. The couple hits the Met Gala together and gets caught in that Sprinter van moment. May 27th, 2026. The Don't Be Dumb tour launches in Chicago, per the Live Nation announcement. June 23rd, 2026. The Phoenix Show. June 25th, 2026. The quote goes viral globally, per TMZ. Do you see that pattern? Within roughly 16 months, this man went from courtroom savior status, to third baby daddy status, to Met Gala drama status, to Phoenix quote status. Every single one of those milestones should have made him more careful with his mouth. Instead, allegedly the trajectory of his public discipline is heading in the opposite direction from what the milestones would suggest. Any grief counselor, therapist, or elder in your family would look at that arc and go, "Brother, you need to sit down for a minute." Because that's not growth. That's escalation. Now peep the Swarovski angle. The woman he was chopping it up with at the Met Gala? That's Giovanna Battaglia Engelbert, global creative director of Swarovski, married into the Crystal Dynasty. Hola magazine confirmed this was the interaction that had the internet losing it right before the Sprinter van clip surfaced. And TMZ specifically reported that Giovanna wasn't some random. She actually knows Rihanna. She attended the Met Gala with singer EJ, and the exchange was allegedly a joke about Rocky's necklace, while Rihanna handled a red carpet interview. Okay, cool, even if the interaction itself was innocent, the optics were catastrophic. And in celebrity culture, optics are the reality. Follow me here. Rocky's engaged in a lengthy chat with a fashion industry powerhouse, while his pregnant, then postpartum partner is standing right there. And then the van tension pops off after. That's not a coincidence. That's a cause and effect. The behind-the-scenes context nobody's talking about? Rihanna and Rocky have been together since 2019 per TMZ. That's 7 years. Billboard's official relationship timeline breaks it down clean. Friends for over a decade. Dating rumors starting in 2019. Publicly confirmed in 2020. First pregnancy announced in early 2022. RZA in May 2022. Riot in August 2023. Rocky in September 2025. 7 years, 3 babies, 1 criminal trial survived together. And now is when the mic slips? Bruh, that's a plot twist Hollywood writers couldn't script. Any man with real advisors, a real team, would have told him, "Brother, do not say anything about being single from a stage in the first year of your newborn's life." But he did it anyway. That's the move of somebody who ain't being managed correctly, or worse, somebody who don't want to be managed. Now, let's talk past beef context. Rocky's dating history is where the pattern lives. Before Rihanna, his most serious relationship was with Chanel Iman, one of the biggest supermodels on the planet at the time, from 2013 into 2014. They were briefly engaged in April 2014, per Page 6 original reporting, before E! News confirmed their split in mid to late 2014. Iggy Azalea came before her. That relationship allegedly started around 2011 and ended around 2012, per Capital XTRA's dating history breakdown, with Iggy reportedly getting a tattoo related to Rocky that she later had to address publicly. Kendall Jenner rumors came in 2016 to 2017, per Pop Sugar. See the type? He's got a documented history of dating women whose star-powered dwarfs his. And the friction has always shown up in public. So Rocky did all this in a room with cameras rolling and thought nobody would connect these dots? That's terrible strategy. But here's where it gets even more interesting. Peep another angle nobody's highlighting. Every single one of the women in that dating lineup is famous for a completely different lane than his. Iggy Azalea, rapper, same lane, same industry, same competitive space. That one ended messy. Chanel Iman, supermodel, adjacent industry, brought a different kind of spotlight. That one also ended messy. Kendall Jenner rumors, reality TV royalty, tabloid magnate, biggest surname in celebrity culture. That one ended in ambiguity. And now Rihanna, global icon, billionaire, cultural monument. And, allegedly, we're watching the pattern try to play itself out again in real time. The common thread ain't the woman. It's the man who keeps ending up in the same story arc regardless of who he's holding hands with. Now check this out. Nobody's talking about the specific word choice in Phoenix. He didn't say, "Y'all lucky I ain't single." He said, "Thank God y'all didn't know me when I was single." Thank God. That's the word right there. That framing turns his current relationship into something he escaped into. Like Rihanna saved him from himself. That's not a compliment to her. That's telling a whole arena that being with her is what's stopping him. Detective hat on. That's the phrasing of somebody who resents the accountability, not somebody who cherishes the partnership. And Rocky really didn't catch how that sounds coming out his own mouth? That's embarrassing. Let me break it down one more layer, because this is a masterclass in accidental honesty. There are basically 3 ways to say, "I love my partner" from stage. Option 1, "Y'all beautiful, but I got the queen at home." Positive, respectful, closed loop. Option 2, "Y'all beautiful, but I'm booked and busy." Neutral, professional, no comparison. Option 3, which is allegedly what Rocky picked. "Thank God y'all didn't know me when I was single because I would have hit." Retroactively sexual, hypothetical. Positions the crowd as a temptation he escaped rather than a compliment he's giving. Option 3 is the linguistic tell. That's the phrasing of somebody whose baseline mental model is still single me is the real me. Taken me is the compromise. That's what freaks people out about the line. Not the word hit. Not the word pretty. The framing. Now zoom into the clapback. According to the Shade Room's recap, Rocky opened his defense with basically, "The internet said one thing, then said another." That structure is called deflection through equivalence. He's lumping the thong rumor, which is silly, low-stakes internet gossip, with the disrespect allegation, which is his partner's feelings. By pairing them, he's shrinking the serious one. That's not accident-level rhetoric. That's a man trying to make his own behavior sound as trivial as underwear speculation. If Rocky had half a media team, they would have told him to address the 2 things separately. He didn't. And notice what he did not say in that clapback. He didn't say, "I apologize to Rihanna." He didn't say, "I misspoke." He didn't say the framing was wrong. He said, "F the internet," which, respectfully, is not an apology. That's a middle finger to the audience that just handed him a best-selling album cycle and a sold-out world tour, per Ticketmaster's dates. You can't bite the hand that fills the arenas and expect the arena to keep filling. That math doesn't math. Then there's the Sprinter van forensics. Everybody's watching the lip reading. I'm watching the seating. According to Ola and Yahoo Entertainment, in that clip Rihanna and Rocky were sitting far apart, both with serious faces, avoiding eye contact. Couples argue, cool. But the physical distance in a Sprinter is a choice. Sprinter benches aren't that wide. To create that gap, somebody scooted. That's the body language of somebody done with the conversation, not somebody working through it. And Rocky thinks nobody's reading the room? That's the problem. He doesn't read between the lines. He broadcasts the subtitles. Add another data point. When outlets like InStyle covered Rihanna's subtle response video the next day, they noted the tone was calm, curated, and cool. Rihanna posting a highlight reel from the Met Gala that included Rocky, positioned like a scrapbook of a fun night. That's not accidental. That's damage control performed by the wife on her platform for his optics. And allegedly it happened without any statement from Rocky's team first. She moved before he did. The girlfriend/partner is quicker on the PR draw than the artist and his management combined. That's a red flag disguised as loyalty. Zoom one more level. The 2013 VMA incident. News documented Rocky getting into it with security, while Chanel Iman literally had to physically hold him back on the biggest red carpet of her career. The specific detail? SHE had to intervene for him. On her night. That's the same energy pattern. The more famous partner absorbing his outburst, so he can keep his image. Fast forward to 2026 Met Gala, and the more famous partner is still absorbing. Same show, different decade. And here's the part that's genuinely wild. Chanel Iman's night at that 2013 VMA, from what fashion history remembers, was supposed to be one of her career-defining red carpet moments. She was near the peak of her Victoria's Secret Angel era. And the story that came out of it wasn't about her walk, her look, or her poise. It was about her boyfriend getting into it with security while she calmed him down. She got upstaged by him on her own night. If that ain't a foreshadow of what allegedly happened at Rihanna's Met Gala more than a decade later, I don't know what is. Now, let's see how the media covered this. TMZ framed the Phoenix moment almost casually. Like Rocky had and problems with his crowd, playing it as a cheeky hip-hop headline. Their spin? He was just riffing, still locked down by Rihanna. No big deal. Cool. But that framing conveniently ignores everything else swirling. NDTV took a completely different lane. Their headline literally said fans are begging Rihanna to dump him, framing the moment as the tipping point in a public patience meter that's been draining for months. Two outlets, same 60-second clip, two completely opposite emotional temperatures. That tells you the story is bigger than the quote. Cosmopolitan went the forensic route. They platformed a full professional lip reader breakdown of the van, treating it like a case file. Meanwhile, Pedestrian.TV framed it as insider tension, leaning into industry sources rather than public footage. And InStyle framed Rihanna's follow-up social media post as her subtly responding to the drama, implying she's the one managing the PR fallout, not him. Then peep how the Mirror covered the van moment. Their entire framing was on the word confrontational, and Rocky calling Rihanna crazy. One choice of word in a headline changes the whole vibe of the story, from couple intense moment to man dismissing his partner in public. That's editorial temperature. That's how the same clip becomes 6 different stories in 6 different newsrooms. And here's the meta-analysis. When celebrity coverage splits this cleanly on tone, half the outlets normalizing it, half the outlets amplifying the concern. That usually means the audience already made up its mind, and the media is just picking which side of the audience it's trying to service. The tabloids protect the star. The digital native outlets amplify the fans. In this case, the fans are winning the narrative war on volume, and Rocky's team is nowhere near the ledger, allegedly. Now some Rocky defenders are saying this is all overreach. That couples argue. Artists talk crazy on stage. It's the culture. Yeah, okay. But those are the same people who thought the Sprinter van was staged for content. If you still think there's no pattern here after Chanel, after Kendall speculation, after the Met Gala van, after Phoenix, after the clapback, you just biased. The receipts don't lie. Let me stress this one more time for the people in the back. This ain't tea. This ain't gossip. Every single quote we just walked through has a source attached. TMZ has audio. Cosmopolitan has a professional lip reader on record. NDTV has the transcript. The Shade Room has the clapback. Billboard has the relationship timeline. Page 6 has the Chanel Iman engagement. News has the VMA incident and the Chanel Iman breakup. BBC has the trial. USA Today has the courtroom photos. Hypebeast has the birth announcement. Live Nation has the tour launch date. This is on the record, cross-verified, multiple outlet reporting. So when I say the pattern is real, it's not an opinion. It's a paper trail. But here's what nobody is saying. Something about this whole thing feels OFF. And I don't mean off in a tabloid way. I mean off in a way that touches something way bigger than one concert. Here's my take, and y'all can drag me in the comments. This ain't a rap star slips up moment. This is a man whose entire identity was built on being the flashiest, prettiest, most photographed guy in every room he walked into. And then he walked into a room with Rihanna, and suddenly he became the second most famous person in every photograph for the rest of his life. That does something to a certain type of man. Bro is playing checkers while she's playing chess just by existing. He didn't sign up for co-star status. He signed up to be the star. And now he's improvising. Let me sharpen the point. Per Forbes, Rihanna is a certified billionaire, largely off Fenty Beauty and her stake in Savage X Fenty. That's not celebrity money. That's Fortune 500 money. She's not just his partner. She's an economy. She employs people. She moves markets. Every red carpet she walks, every product she drops, every rare Instagram post gets covered globally. Meanwhile, Rocky is a critically acclaimed rapper on his second headlining world tour, a huge accomplishment in its own lane, according to Live Nation. But the scale gap is astronomical. And gaps like that are the kind that don't just live in the bank account. They live in ego. Allegedly. Watch the pattern. When it was Chanel Iman in 2013, he was scuffling with security on her red carpet at the VMAs, per E! News. Different woman, same script. It's not the woman, it's him. Rocky is the constant in every equation. And that's the truth industry blogs won't say out loud, because he's a fashion darling with a Dior card and a Vogue speed dial. But we ain't Vogue over here. We ain't scared to say it. Rocky has a documented public discomfort problem whenever he's dating a woman bigger than him. That's not a coincidence. That's a pattern. And listen, I'm not diagnosing anybody from the internet. That's not my job. But when the receipts stack up across multiple relationships, across a decade, across different eras of his career, that's not a bad night. That's not a slip. That's a repeated pattern of behavior when the spotlight isn't on him alone. Every therapist watching this video is nodding at their screen right now. And allegedly nobody in his camp is checking him on it. Now the industry politics angle nobody wants to touch. Ask yourself, why has nobody in Rocky's camp shut this down? Why is there no publicist statement, no clean-up interview, no coordinated apology cycle? Because the version of Rocky that says wild stuff on stage is the version that sells tickets on the Don't Be Dumb tour, which, per the Wikipedia tour listing, is his second headlining tour ever and a big commercial swing. It's on brand for the album title. The rebellious, unfiltered, controversial artist plays better commercially than the humble family man. His team isn't reining him in because the controversy is the marketing. That's cold. And Rihanna's whole global icon with babies at home persona is collateral damage in his album cycle. Bro is manufactured chaos, and she's the actual human getting bruised by it. There's another way to see it too. Notice how quickly the news cycle around the concert quote produced Google searches for the tour dates, ticket availability, and album streams. Every time a Rocky story trends, his catalog gets a bump. That's called attention economy. Whether it's intentional or not, chaos equals clicks equals streams equals ticket sales. Somewhere in a marketing meeting, somebody is allegedly running the numbers and noticing that engagement is up. And if engagement is up, the incentive to correct the behavior is down. Cold math for a warm situation. And here's the psychological warfare piece. Notice he only did the clapback video after the internet dragged him, not before. That means his baseline instinct was, I don't owe an explanation. It took public pressure for him to even acknowledge Rihanna in the aftermath. Meanwhile, she's out here posting subtle response videos, per InStyle, doing damage control on herself because he won't do damage control on his own mouth. That's a whole grown woman managing a whole grown man's PR from her postpartum recovery. Nah, bruh. That's not partnership. That's labor. And here's the receipt that punches me in the chest every time. The courtroom photos. February 2025. Rihanna sat pregnant in a Los Angeles courtroom while Rocky's freedom hung in the balance, per BBC. She had every reason in the world to protect her peace and stay home. She showed up anyway. She was described in courtroom testimony coverage as being present through the entire proceeding, per USA Today. And this year, barely 16 months later, allegedly the same man is on a stage joking about his single years. Bruh, if somebody sits pregnant in a courtroom for you, you owe them at least the courtesy of being carefully worded from every mic you touch for the rest of your natural life. That's the least. That is the floor. Watch the pattern carefully. Snoop Dogg, Uncle Snoop himself, literally sat with Rocky and gave him the game about tour life, appreciating what you got, and not letting outside noise into a good relationship. The message was straight. Stay grounded, protect what you built, don't let ego eat the love. That interview keeps resurfacing because it aged like fine wine, and Rocky ain't listening to a single word of it. That's the problem. When a legend gives you the blueprint and you throw it out, that's not confidence. That's ego. And ego is the fastest way to lose the best thing that ever walked into your life. And here's the part that goes deeper. Snoop wasn't giving Rocky advice as a hater. He was giving it as somebody who's been married since the 90s, who has watched dozens of his peers throw away good women for temporary highs. And who knows what tour life does to a marriage if you don't guardrail it. That was Uncle Energy. That was elder in the culture energy. And when your elder pulls you aside and says protect this, and you keep doing what you were doing anyway, that's not a communication breakdown. That's a values disconnect. Allegedly. And values disconnects don't get fixed by a clapback video. They get fixed by years of hard, quiet work. Which, from the outside, doesn't look like what's happening. Yeah, somebody definitely didn't think this through. And that's the truth they won't tell you. Now this is about to go left. Real left. Scenario 1. The slow fade. Watch what's about to happen. Rihanna's gonna keep releasing product. Fenty Beauty drops. Savage X Fenty campaigns per Forbes. That lingerie brand is a multi-billion-dollar business. That Fenty hairline. And eventually, mark this down, a full musical return. Every one of those moves is gonna be a huge story. And Rocky? Rocky's gonna be quietly standing behind her at fewer and fewer events. The public appearances will thin out. When paparazzi catch him, it'll be solo. That silence is gonna hurt Rocky more than any diss track could. Because the culture is gonna stop asking where he is. And when the culture stops asking, that's when you know you already lost the room. And here's the twist inside Scenario 1. The slow fade doesn't require anger. It doesn't require a breakup announcement. It doesn't require lawyers. It just requires absence. One less red carpet appearance. One less Fenty campaign cameo. One less Instagram tag. Multiply that by 12 months. And by this time next year, the culture will have quietly rewritten the narrative from Rihanna and Rocky, the it couple to Rihanna. And by the way, the father of her kids. The shift from co-star to footnote is silent, but it's the deadliest career blow you can catch in celebrity culture. And, allegedly, it's already starting. Scenario 2. The public meltdown. If Rocky doubles down instead of humbling up, and history says he might, we're going to see one of two things. Either another stage moment that goes even further and forces Rihanna's hand publicly, or an interview where he tries to explain his artist persona and digs the hole 20 feet deeper. Bro is not built for the sit-down apology tour circuit. He's a live-wire artist. Put him in a Breakfast Club chair on a defensive day, and he will say something that ends the discussion for good. His people know it. That's why they haven't booked it yet. But eventually the pressure's gonna force the sit down, and when it happens, Rocky's gonna wish he'd stayed quiet. Add to that, the tour, per Ticketmaster schedule, has multiple more stops going. That's more mics. That's more chances for another quote to escape into the wild. If you thought Phoenix was the ceiling, remember he still has more shows on the calendar. Every stage is a fresh chance for another accidental honest moment. And history says allegedly, he doesn't self-edit as hard as somebody in his position should. Every date on the tour is now a suspense episode in real time. Scenario 3. The culture shift. Here's the one that hurts. The bigger picture ain't even about them as a couple. It's about what this moment represents. Rihanna is a generational figure, a Barbadian icon, a billionaire businesswoman, a mother of 3. When the culture starts positioning her as somebody who's been tolerating behavior instead of being cherished for it, the narrative flips permanently. 5 years from now, Rocky's whole legacy chapter titled Rihanna's Partner is either going to read as the man who protected the queen or the man who kept embarrassing her in public until she made a choice. The story is being written right now, in real time, and Rocky doesn't seem to realize he's holding the pen wrong. And this is where the wider black culture piece hits. Rihanna isn't just a musician, she's a symbol. A dark-skinned Caribbean woman who built $2 billion empires from scratch, per Forbes, while carrying 3 babies, running 2 brands, and starring on the cover of every fashion magazine on the planet. When a woman of her cultural stature is portrayed as somebody being publicly disrespected, that story doesn't stay in the celebrity gossip lane. It becomes a conversation about how the most successful women alive still have to negotiate their own peace at home. And that conversation is bigger than Rocky. That conversation is bigger than TMZ. That conversation is why the fandom is loud right now, because they feel like this isn't just about one couple anymore. It's about a template. Allegedly. The scary part? Everything feels quiet from Rihanna's side. She ain't ranting. She ain't tweeting. She ain't doing interviews about it. She's just posting, working, mothering. That's not a woman in crisis. That's a woman watching. And when a woman like Robin Fenny starts watching instead of talking, that's when the receipts get filed. Rocky better hope he wakes up before she finishes taking notes. Actually, let me push scenario 3 even one step further. Here's what history teaches us about billionaires and public silence. When somebody at Rihanna's level of power stops publicly reacting to a partner's mess, it's usually because they've already had a private conversation, given a private ultimatum, and set a private timeline. They aren't out here debating with strangers on Instagram. They're moving pieces on a board only they can see. So when Rihanna smirks off a rumor, posts a soft response video, and keeps quiet, allegedly, that's not weakness. That's not denial. That's power. The kind of power that doesn't need to prove itself in public. And the danger for Rocky is that by the time she does say something on the record, the decision has usually already been made. That's how quiet women with billion-dollar empires operate. And we might already be in the notes taken, timeline set chapter. Whatever happens, one thing's clear, Rocky already lost the internet. The only question left is whether he loses the relationship too. I said what I said. If this hit different, drop your take in the comments. Do you think Rihanna's still holding him down out of love, or is she quietly building an exit? I'm reading every comment tonight. Smash that like, hit subscribe, and stick with Melanin Scope Media, because I got a whole breakdown coming on Chanel Iman's side of the 2013 story that nobody's been willing to touch. And trust me, it connects directly to what we just watched. Don't sleep on that one. Tomorrow's gonna be crazy. See y'all in the next one.